You should see it. You see it? It's live.
Hello, hello. I want to welcome you guys to your favorite channel, the Naughty Lounge.
Naughty Lounge.
Naughty Lounge.
But look, we're gonna forget
I
about
know, I
that.
know. Listen, Troy. Let me work this. Let
Oh,
me
okay.
work
My
this.
bad. Do
Okay.
you? Do you?
My name is Sharee Moore. I am the host for this evening, and I'm a writing coach. I have the privilege of interviewing your favorite author, podcaster, and motivational speaker, Mr. Troy M. Smith. And I'm going to pick his brain, y'all. Tonight we are going to dive into this ocean that is Troy, and he's going to let us know about some of these stories that we tell ourselves, right? These stories that have us stuck, stories that are keeping some of us from achieving our full potential. Okay. He is the author of the amazing book, The Mindset of Successful Thinking. And then he has another little project in the works. I'm sure you've been tracking closely on that. And we'll dive into that a little later in the show. But before we jump in, I want you guys to share this broadcast. I want you to share, and I want you to write any questions that you might have for Troy about how to live your best life, how to unlock the power of positive thinking. And I'm going to go on ahead and share too right now, Troy. I'm sure you did all the things.
All that, but we did all that. We already own it. And for those that be listening, the people that's coming over from anything that I've done to be like, Troy always late. Guess what? It wasn't me today. It wasn't me today, goddamn. I'm excited about this, Sharee. I don't know about you, but I'm pumped up about it.
I'm excited. And you know what? I believe in taking personal responsibility. This was the computer's fault, okay? Sometimes, I mean, for those who've invested in Apple products, listen, this is a day of disappointment. I'm sure some stocks or something have slipped today because of what happened with the audio on this, okay? I'm sure stocks were affected here. But I have shared this. And so let's just jump right in, okay? I have some questions for you. Listen, my audience is primarily writers and authors, professionals, pastors, leaders, visionaries, right? And so I know that outside of writing a book, they do want to be successful in other areas of their life, right? If they're not winning in those other areas, then it's going to be a challenge to squeeze a whole lot out of a writing business. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's going to be a challenge squeezing anything out of anything in 2020.
Right. I mean, and we're in that last little final drip of 2020. This is the last drop of 2020.
It's like that little corner of milk that somebody left in the refrigerator. They're like, who left this in here? That's what it's like.
And you know those new cartons now where you got the cap?
Yeah,
forget
sure.
that last corner. Okay. But we don't want to approach this last little bit of 2020 with that kind of mindset. We don't want to forget the last corner.
Right.
Okay? We don't. And I'm telling you, I believe firmly that it's stories that have some people stuck. And I want you to dive in and share, like, what are stories? What are some of the things that you commonly hear people tell themselves? And how does that impact their lives?
Yeah. So in regards to writing, well, so a little bit about me. I'm from the projects in Knoxville, Tennessee. Now, some people may think Knoxville got black people there or projects there. Yes, they do. They have a lot of them there. Well, a lot of them been torn down. But so the last thing that was in my repertoire was actually writing anybody's book, or let alone my own. Even read the book was the last thing that was on it. But I hear a lot of people all the time say they just don't have, their story may not be interesting enough. Who really wants to hear my story? I made my story wasn't a struggle like a lot, so nobody would probably be interested to hear what I got to say, and I think that's a lie.
Hey, you called me out on that. I remember during our first call, you called me out on that.
I don't think I called. I just want to encourage you, let you know that your story was impactful. Man, you from what, Potts, New York?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let's get it right. Pottstown, Pennsylvania.
Oh, Pottstown, Pennsylvania. I never even heard of Potts. I'm thinking you're talking about cooking. But the fact is, that's a huge thing. I mean, you from Pottstown, Pennsylvania. Where is that at? You
Right.
know.
Clarkstown, Pennsylvania. It's, we on the map. We
Mm-hmm.
out there, you know.
Mm-hmm. You got any rappers come out yet?
you know, we working on our football team and things like that. We working on our, we got stuff. I'll
Mm-hmm.
save that for another show. I'm not trying to steal anybody's thunder tonight. Okay, you were saying project, trying to read.
But what I'm saying is that I really think that people they have a story, man. Everybody has a story to tell, and sometimes people are afraid to actually put their story out there because now you could be criticized for what your story may be.
Mm-hmm.
And some people don't like being out in front and they want to be actually criticized for what they got to say. But hey, I encourage everyone. Everyone has a book to tell. They have a story to tell, so they got a book inside of them.
Right, absolutely. So everybody has a story to tell. And so part of your story is that, yes, you are from the projects and picking up books was not your boo. Okay,
Mm-mm.
back then. So what are some of the stories that you hear people telling themselves?
And what genre, depending on what area you're looking at. So
I
like,
mean, in the area of just where you grew up. Okay,
yeah.
so what's the type of story that you could be telling yourself now, but obviously you're not?
Right. Well, it could be saying, my daddy wasn't around.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to hold us, the man trying to hold us back. Just telling those same things, reiterating those same things over and over about, hey, you do know where you from, right? You know who you are, right?
That's a good one.
You know who so and so is, right? You know you black, right? Don't forget you black. Or some point would say, or the old heads would say, don't forget your N-word.
Mm.
And then you end up starting to say, you know what, they may be right, man. So you start believing in those lies all over again.
Right.
To where you start telling yourself that, look, words are important. What you tell yourself is important. And if you don't know this, you can be talking to yourself without even speaking out of your mouth.
That's powerful, Troy. That is powerful. I wonder in the comments, what are some of the stories that you have told yourself? Like, we heard some good examples here. We have some of these old heads in our lives. They speak into us and they say, hey, don't forget where you came from and things like that. Oh, you educated now. Oh, you too good for us now.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. Like, what kind of things can you reflect on that are, stories from the past that aren't helpful,
Well, go
Mhm.
ahead. Go ahead.
How does this drive people's decisions though about what they're going to do, who they're going to be in life when you got voices like that, when you're telling yourself things like that?
So let me tell you, I got a cousin. I had a cousin, young guy from the east side of Knoxville, right? We come up the same background, same everything. He started, he wanted to get away from Knoxville to go to school at Tennessee State.
Right.
And he was running away from what he was already living before. So he moved to Nashville to go to Tennessee State. But when you got someone always calling you, talking about what you're missing out on, what you ain't doing, to make sure, hey, don't forget where you come from, not in a good way, but in the fact that what you think you better than us type thing. Nashville ain't safer than Knoxville, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I said, look, do not move back to Knoxville, dog. Don't move back, because oftentimes you go back, what you're running from can show up there. So if you haven't handled things personally where you are, it can show back up. Let's just say he moved back to Knoxville. What he was running from to try to say he would be safer in Knoxville, he went back to the streets when he moved back to Knoxville, and he died. So what happened is, when you hear those, I did a video today about old friends and new friends.
Right.
Sometimes those old friends can continuously be around you all the time, bringing you back to help you, remind you where you came from. When sometimes you need some new friends around you to inspire you to who you're trying to become.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's who you need to hang around more. But you go back to the old friends actually get you in trouble.
Right.
And he's no longer here no more. So, I mean, I've heard the stories that we always tell ourselves from other friends and family. Like I said, I grew up in a single, I didn't say this yet, but I grew up in a single parent household. So that's the normal traditional thing. And then when you hear African American male stories, they had their mom around. My dad got 17 kids, was 16. So that I can always use the excuse to say, man, I'm supposed to be back. I'm not supposed to go to school. I'm not supposed to graduate. I'm not supposed to even worry about school. I need to be going, I need to get up on this money, come up on some money. And I'm just telling myself these lies that oftentimes is not the truth, of course. And I'm glad I made a different decision.
Right. I'm glad too.
Yeah.
I'm glad too. I know for me, some of the stories that I've told myself or, that I heard is, it came from peers. So in school, even though I went to a private school, a boarding school, all black school, you would think everybody was bougie. They were not. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they would say, if you speak proper English, then you're talking white.
Mm.
And so it kind of made me feel like it's not okay to show up in this way. It's not okay to show that you are smart or educated. You have to hide that kind of thing. And so I remember my coping mechanism was to become like a class clown. So I would, joke around. But the thing is, I'm joking and clowning, but I'm getting straight A's. And, I just kept that. I just kept it a secret. It wasn't okay.
Right.
And so,
But you had to show that you were black enough, so you started doing things that wasn't in your character.
right. And and the thing is, I don't know how successful I was. But
you still was getting, after you tried, you still was getting joned on, as they call it.
Right. You know what I mean? Don't try to talk us, don't even try it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just keep quiet. I had jokes. I learned to be very sarcastic, so I think that those are kind of negative traits that I took on in order to be accepted, so I knew how to shut people down quick. And that's just not, being defensive like that's not a positive thing.
But it's a mindset thing though in general.
Mm-hmm.
What you tell yourself is important.
Right.
A lot of us grow up, and I remember I used to put up Sports Illustrated pictures around my room. I didn't have enough money to get posters.
Right.
I just take out Sports Illustrated magazine clippings, put them on my wall, and aspire to be these football players, and put it the Source magazine. I don't know if you remember the Source magazine of rappers and people I looked up to and say, man, I'm gonna be like this one day. I'm gonna make some money one day. But it's all a mindset, because what you're gonna learn later on in life, what you tell yourself is who you're gonna end up being.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point right there. What you tell yourself is who you're going to be. And so I know in your book you discuss like 4 pillars, and your book is the mindset of
successful thinking.
Getting
the most out of life. You should get the most out of life. MOST, mindset of successful thinking. Yep.
So you have these 4 pillars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your first pillar, I believe it's appearance and
education,
confidence, and then you got education, relationships, networking, and you got strategically planning your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know that we don't have time to jump into each one of those pillars tonight, but which one would you like to talk about that you think is really impactful, that leaders can really take now, and they can maybe see a difference in how they show up if they apply this one pillar?
Relationships.
Oh, I love that one.
Your relationships are important. You gotta, relationships get you places that money can't buy.
Right.
Let me just tell you the 2 most important currencies in life. Let me just do that.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 most important currencies in life are time and relationships. Time, you got to invest wisely. Relationships get you places that money can't buy. Mm-hmm. And I say that because time is important. That's the most important currency in life, because sometimes it don't matter how much money you have, but if it's the right time, it always comes down to the right timing about things, getting things going first. Can get you, can open up some doors for you. Sometimes you can be working so hard to get stuff going, and it wasn't time for it. Mm-hmm. So time is important. Relationships, though, is one of my most important keys too, because I've gotten places or been places that I'm not supposed to be because of relationships I have.
Can you elaborate a little more on that? Because we see a culture now where burning a bridge, canceling somebody, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you say the wrong word, they're gonna put you out all over the internet. I just observed in a group where a woman, she was the owner of this group. She shared a network marketing company product that she just liked the product. She shared it, giving that person a shout out. Well, somebody in the comments decided to screenshot that, call her all sorts of names, and she was just posting all over the internet about how awful this woman is because she's sharing a network marketing product, which this woman didn't agree with. And I mean, it was just ugly. And I'm just like, I mean, we in the day of video and everything and snapping shots. I mean, you can't even show up in Walmart wearing the wrong thing. You might end up on the internet for that, right?
Hmm.
So, can we talk about building these bridges and relationships?
Well, we definitely got a controversial discussion coming up, so we ain't gonna get on that just yet. But I had lunch with someone at one time considered to be a billionaire. His assistant told me he's not a billionaire, but he is a millions of billionaire. So I said, okay, he's not a billionaire. But you know the founder of Dollar General, the family. You ever heard of Dollar General?
Right. Absolutely.
Well, Cal Turner Jr., who was the son of the dad that started this whole thing, the whole empire of Dollar General. I had lunch with him in his office, right? Because someone introduced me to him. They said that you need to meet Troy. Troy, you need to meet Cal. First, I didn't know who he was. Until he said, you ever heard of Dollar General? Oh, yeah, I used to shop there all the time when I used to go get my boat shoes. You probably never even heard of boats. There's some old school, some high-tech boots, boat shoes and high-tech boots, all that. Either way, I know. So, but the fact is, I would have never got to meet this guy if I would have tried to come in on my own will. If I would have tried to cold call him and try to sell him something, he wouldn't even come. He wouldn't give me a chance to date. But since I knew someone that knew him, because of the relationship I had with him, and I met that individual through someone else, that's how I got to get into the same room with this individual, who we're both from different parts of the tracks, different sides of the tracks. That's what I mean by relationships. Sometimes relationships get you in the door that money cannot buy. I couldn't pay enough money to have a conversation with him in his office and meet him a couple times and be able to call him and talk to him. And he see me and my wife and he said, "Oh, Troy, what's up?" I wouldn't have the opportunity to talk to the mayors over here and the governor over there if I didn't have the relationships in place.
You know what? That's good. That's an example of what is priceless. I mean, having a relationship like that is priceless. It's priceless.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Troy. I know I said that we were just going to jump on one of these pillars, but
now let's go on. I mean, let's hit them.
Closely tied to relationships. Now, when you showed up for this lunch with this billionaire, did you come with your cap cocked to the side and your pants sagging? I'm just
no, of course not. So the thing is, I remember I told my mama back in the day, my attire when I was growing up. You ever heard of Debo?
Debo.
The guy from Friday.
Is that a what?
You ever watch Friday?
Yes, Debo.
Well, Debo was the guy that was the bully. But he used to have these house shoes on that everybody coined Debo's. So I used to wear corduroy house shoes, cut off jogging pants, cut off t-shirts, whatever. Normally, that was my attire. And I told my mom before I went to Tennessee State, I said, she said, you might want to start changing the way that you look. I said, man, nobody ain't changing me. I'm going to be this all the time. Thank God I didn't listen to that.
Right.
But when I went to Tennessee State, I was sitting in my class. I went to my English professor's class. It was African American literature. Miss Parham, who's like a mother to me here in Nashville. Now I only got one mama. Suzette Renee Smith is my mother. But I have people that has that type of thing about them, right? And one day I was coming late to class, wearing my normal attire, and she brought me in her office and said, and I was going in and trying to, negotiate with her by getting a better grade, negotiate. And she said, "You can do better." I said, "What you mean?" She said, "Well, first of all, you can show up on time to class, whatever. Do your actual work. But not only that, start, watching the way, listening to the way that you talk, enunciate your words, and carry yourself better because you just try to encourage me, you're a handsome guy, and blah, blah." And I'm like, man, what you trying to do? Make me white?
Right.
That's what I told her. I said, you trying to make me white? She said, "Oh my God, when did becoming educated become white?" And if you look at old school movies and shows and old school reports, remember what the old school guys used to wear? They used to wear suits all the time.
Right. Exactly.
They used to carry themselves all the time. They tried to be educated all the time because they had no other choice. See, but now when you got choices, you forget where you come from. You do forget where you come from, where you had the people that fought to get there. But, I was wearing my own clothes. I'm wearing silly. This is looking silly. If I would have walked in his room, first of all, I would have met the guy that introduced me to him. Because I weigh myself. But sometimes we see, if you listen to those same lies that you hear from before, when the older folks tell you, don't forget you're in. Don't forget the white folks don't care about you. Don't forget this and don't forget that. You start thinking, man, maybe they're right. And then you start staying in the same bubble. So I started noticing the importance of being successful, because what I thought success was, I got to start looking differently.
Right.
So, I actually wore a shirt and tie that day, just in general. That's how I feel comfortable. I feel comfortable with button down shirts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah,
me.
yeah. And so that appearance, I'm sure that it helped with your confidence. You're showing up
Absolutely.
wearing the proper attire in the proper place. And then relationships kind of got you where you were. You know what I mean? But do
Mm-hmm.
you think that that friend would have referred you had you not worked on things like appearance and improving relationships, like even your relationship with that individual who introduced you to the billionaire?
No, yeah. If I didn't have that in place, it wouldn't have happened.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what though? I had to back up though, because see what happened is you go from one extreme to the other.
Right, right.
So what happened is that you start realizing that your doo-doo don't stink no more. So you start dressing up and thinking, then you start acting like that guy that they talking about, like, who you think you are?
Right.
Who you think you are, man? Why do you think you look better or act better than we do because you got on a suit and tie? Well, honestly, that you start realizing, no, I'm not. I just see myself differently. But when you start acting that way, you start forgetting things. And I had a guy tell me one time, he said, Troy, he said, we get on those guys that sag, or they go to an interview with Jordan's on jeans and maybe a creased out jeans, or a nice t-shirt and a hat, and we joan on them and say, look at this fool going to an interview. But then the guy said, but one day he was listening to a sermon, and he said that the pastor said, but what if that is their best?
Right.
And when I heard that, I stopped, because this is why it's important not to judge.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what no one's story is and what they go through. That's why everybody has a story. To go back to the story thing. That person may see Jordan's being his very best. He say, man, remember when you just go to school and say, I'm going to kill him tomorrow with this outfit I got.
You're right.
I'm going to kill him tomorrow with this outfit. This outfit going to be knocking him down. So you got your Jordans, that might be his very best. My very best may be some Stacey Adams or something, or some Ferragamo, whatever your special shoe may be.
Right. I
hope that ain't a girl shoe, Ferragamo. But either way, it might be some nice shoes, nice dress shoe, but that might be my best. So I start learning too. Sometimes it depends on where people come from, or what their attitude, or what their story is. You start to learn other people's, story. May not think the same way you do, but you're right. Appearance. If you feel good, look good, and smell good, you're possibly gonna do good.
Right, right. I appreciate that. And Gemma, that's a very good point. Your supervisor gave you some good advice there. It reminds me of when I went to my senior, it was like they wouldn't call it a prom because I was at this Christian boarding school, right? So they didn't call it a prom, but it was a senior dance. And so I remember I convinced my mom to spend maybe $300 on this dress. And I thought I was so fine. Ooh, I had this red dress on, and it was kind of see-through at the bottom or something like that. I thought, and so I walk in there. Oh my goodness. That might have been fine right there for my senior thing. And, everybody was like, wow, Sharee, what you got on, right? I tried to take that same dress and wear it years later when I was in the Army going to this Army ball. Let me tell you, they were clowning me. They were like, Sharee, this time when they saying what you got on, it was with a different energy.
Yeah. Ugh.
What you got on?
What is that?
It was really the best that I had, man.
Yeah,
I didn't know nothing about dressing up. And so, sometimes you have to check yourself. I just want to go back to a point that you made. Sometimes it's somebody else's story and they're imposing some sort of judgment on you when you're saying, oh, so you think you white now. Oh, you think you this and that. So I see the value of understanding and identifying my own story so that I can disqualify what other people are saying when they're trying to impose something on me. You understand? So guys, get your story, tap into this. Do you have any pointers for helping a person to identify what they're telling themselves? Like, what can they look at?
So like I told you, my background of what I grew up from, all that. But I started realizing, I started flipping the story.
Flipping it. I love
to
that.
myself. Where I noticed, I said, Troy, you always grew up in the gated community. All the time. You always had a swimming pool to yourself. You always had an indoor court, basketball court at your house, your apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Did I really have that naturally? No. But when it come down to it, those bars that was around the projects, it's about how you see it.
Mm-hmm.
I've always had a gated community. See, now we're trying to move into those gated communities when I've always had a gate around me. You follow what I'm saying? I've always had security. Because the police used to sit at the front of the apartments all the time. If I really want to think about me always being secured, I mean, it's all about how you see it.
Mm-hmm.
When I think about when I used to play basketball, me and my brothers used to play basketball in the house, in the apartment. We used to take a wired coat hanger and make it into a basketball goal and put it on top of the door. And we playing basketball, teams and everything. It's all about how you see it. And it's in my home court. When I used to live in what they used to call Mechanicsville, the Ville. When I used to live in Mechanicsville, we used to have something called Court A, Court B, Court C. It's the different areas, the different parts of the projects.
Mm-hmm.
And each court had, or each apartment section had its own, like a lot of grass, and had its own little yard in the front, a big one.
Right.
We used to always call it home field. Like if I live across in that same area, that was my home field. Up the street might be Little Larry's home field.
Mm-hmm.
Down the street might be Alton's home field. The fact is, we made it our own. It's all about, yes, Jim and Jim. It's all about perspective.
Right.
If you continuously tell yourself that, man, I'm nobody, you will be nobody.
Absolutely.
But if you tell yourself you grew up with nothing, you will have nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you take that little bit, which Black folks are used to doing anyway, take a little bit, make something out of nothing, you might end up being bigger and richer and more successful than you thought you were before.
So what if somebody takes that thought right there, I don't have nothing, or I came from nothing, and then they say, you know what, my people have a history of taking nothing and making it something. That's who I am. That's who I come from. We make a way out of no way, and that can be another way to flip it, because I imagine some of these, I've been studying personality types here recently. And so some of these more, they need facts, the logic, things like that. Everybody has a personality type, right?
Yeah.
So they might not be able to do that and say like what you did, which is tell yourself, you know what, hey, I had an indoor court. I lived in a gated community and actually thrive and do something with that. So what would you say for the person who's having a hard time making that transition?
So a lot of people, you ever been to jail before?
No, I haven't. Just to visit.
Yeah, just to visit. But have you ever been in the jail when you visit someone and the door shut behind you?
No, never.
Right. So there's a lot of people that's actually in prison in their mind. Where like they're not getting out. So what I do is encourage folks to understand that, like I told you on the phone.
Right.
When you said that, man, I mean, even though you're an author, you write, you do all those things. And you thought at some time, and correct me if I'm wrong, your story may not have been as important.
Right.
But when you like say, hey, I mean, I went in the service. First of all, thank you for being in the service. But then, like you told me, but I ain't really done nothing. I ain't never been to combat. I ain't never did this. I ain't never done that. I never done all. And I said, but hold on a second, though, Sharee. Do you know you got to be just about almost perfect to get into the service? If you don't have a 20/20 vision, you're not getting in. We're not talking about a few, and far as I know, if you have asthma,
careers, absolutely. For certain careers, like pilot or certain other things,
or sharpshooter or whatever. But if you have asthma, though, you're not getting in.
Right.
If you have certain things in place, so when you think about that part, you were qualified to get there. That's big. Some people, it's people that would die. You ever seen Captain America?
I sure have.
Captain America was a little bitty skinny, dude.
100 times.
He couldn't wait to get it. But guess what? It's all about relationships. Is how he got in.
Right.
He seen that doctor seen how much he wanted to get in to be a part of this project. So the doctor said he could be a part of our project because I see his heart. That's like what God does. God said, I see the heart. So since I see his heart or her heart, I'm going to now bless them and take them to where they need to be. Captain America, though, he actually gave up.
He did.
He gave up. And that's when guys say, thank you. Can I take the wheel now? Appreciate you. Now you can go. And oftentimes what happens, we gotta take that in and soak it in a little bit. The one to say, you know what, I am beneficial. I mean, I am important.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he can say thank you. So now I can go ahead and take the wheel from here.
You know what, Troy? I hope that an aspiring writer took what you just said right now and grabbed hold of that, because I can't tell you how many times I hear the doubt, the self-doubt expressed by writers who think that their story is not good enough. And just like you spoke into me, let that be a seed there for you who are watching. Allow what Troy just spoke to be a seed planted in your life. Your story does matter. You do have what it takes to write and finish your book or whatever it is that you put your hand to. You know, don't place limitations on you. Don't hold the key to your own jail cell. All right. Don't be that person. Right. And so whatever it takes to dispel some of these stories, be willing to do the work. That's really it. You know what I mean? Unlock your own door. If what Troy suggested doesn't work, guess what? Find another way. Find another way to tell yourself something different. And I recommend coaching, counseling. You know, sometimes we need a little hand. Personal development book. How about Troy's book? How about that?
So let me tell you the reason why I even wrote that book.
Please, we want to know the reason.
I was thinking about writing. For some reason, this has been sitting in the back of my mind for a long time. I'm writing a book called The Mindset of Successful Thinking. That's what I offered from 2007. I had an idea that I'm going to write this book. Just didn't know how it's going to be about, what it's going to be about full. I just know it's going to be the mindset thing. Mm-hmm. Now, when I wrote that book and completed, I was broke as a joke.
Broke as a joke.
The joke was full broke.
You still laughing about it? Was so.
I'm talking about, I got the whole laughing, all that. But the fact is that it wasn't. I realized though, success is really all relative to the person. Because what I grew up thinking what success was is that you got to have a lot of money. Money is a tool, and it's very important. Right. It can get you into places that some relationships can help get you there. But if you got some money, you can get a deal and say, man, let me go and get this plane ticket so I can go actually meet this person. But success is more than just natural, all this physical stuff. Right. It came down to what I thought success was, because when we have those self-conversations, you start doubting. You start realizing you're not wealthy enough. You ain't got no money. Look how many bills you got. Bro, you got student loans. How you going to do that? Right. You follow what I'm saying? You from Pottstown, Pennsylvania. You ain't nobody. You from Mechanicsville. That was a real thing. Look, you need to laugh. My wife grew up thinking that she needed to learn how to cook, not knowing the girl is beautiful. But she thought she had to be able to cook good, clean good, so she can be accepted by some guy. That's a lie. Yeah, it is. You know what I'm saying? You think there are so many. We could go in on that right there. Just personal appearance as a woman, as a Black woman or a woman of color, thinking that you have to have certain curves in order to be acceptable. I mean, hey, the social media, the videos, our culture promotes it. You know, so if you lacking, if you coming up short, you got a flat pancake. It's a done deal. But look. So let me tell you something. My wife know how to do a lot of stuff. She cook, clean, mow grass, do all that stuff. She grew up doing that stuff. But I looked at my wife and said, "But do you not? You know you cold. And you better looking than a lot of your friends." But she always, no one. It's just what she heard herself tell herself, which a lot of women deal with. A lot of men deal with. They think you ain't skinny enough. So I've been big my whole life. I've been a big guy my whole life. Not really big, fat like now. I'm trying to get that off. I just realized when I was looking at you. Let's just clear the air here. I mean, I was big. I was looking at you. I realized when I looked at your, when I sent you that photo. I said, man, quarantine been real to me, boy. My face all plumped back up like it was. Either way, but hearing it my whole life, I heard that Troy, you always was fat. And you go back and look at pictures now and say, I wasn't fat. I may have been bigger than some kids. I wasn't even husky. I was actually skinny. Right. But it was bigger than, but someone may have heard someone tell them something, they didn't put it on you. And now you hear in the story they tell themselves, and they put it on you. Right. Right. I mean, I even got Fat Daddy tattooed on my arm. You follow me? Less than even nothing.
You know
Now
what? You was embracing. You was.
yeah, you embraced it, but now you taking it so much to where you write it in stone. Now it's in your flesh. It's on your body. So
Right.
now I take that label. So now I'm
Mhm.
continuously fighting and building, fighting on against that. So you had to change the way that you think, and I started realizing that success is more than that stuff.
Right.
You know, like you mentioned about when you when we come out to think about our ancestors where they came. Look, we having Thanksgiving in the slave quarters with pig intestines.
Right.
And made it a chitlin meal. Taking something from nothing and to make something out of nothing. I mean, they literally make it a
Right. Took the
full-fledged dinner.
scrap from the
The
masses table
scraps. The scrap. Give
and
me the
made it
scraps.
a delicacy.
Give me those lemons that has no juice left in it. I'm gonna make a lemon pie.
Right. Give me the fat from the pig, and I'm gonna make
Give me
some
them
lard.
ears.
You're gonna make the best biscuits ever.
Give me the ears. Give me the feet. Give me the tongue and the face. And I'm gonna make a whole
I know the
skillet
brain.
meal.
Don't they make cheese from the brain?
They make a whole lot of stuff, but it's all about what you. So I wrote that book because of the fact that I said, man, I realized it's much more than that. I realized success about the way that I see myself, appearance. I realized the importance of educating myself, not in the four walls in the school, but educate myself on who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Like personality tests, like you were talking about.
Right.
I start realizing that just you and I we relate in regards to the laughter.
Right.
I learned. My boy Trevor said we scaring the vegan community. I learned that.
We did get a little carried away with it. I can say
This dude is silly.
Yeah,
That's my guy. Hey, that's my guy. That's my guy. We do Two Brothers tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. I had to put that out there. But look, but you know, I started realizing that, I had to educate myself on how. So you and I, we relate. I'm going back to this. We relate in regards to where I think I had to be funny all the time.
Right.
I had to learn how to be sarcastic. I had to take those jokes and be witty with it and hit it back.
Mm-hmm.
I had to take those jokes and make myself laugh at it from crying at it.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started making myself laugh about the stuff like, man, it's all good, big dog. You still get the baddest girl out here. That's what I started telling myself.
Right.
And that's stuff that actually may happen, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Don't get it twisted up. It's nothing. But the fact is, I started realizing that, man, educate myself on who I am. I walk into a room, people smile. Take advantage of it. Actually love that. Embrace that.
Yeah.
When you walk, you bring joy to people by just smiling at them. Embrace that. So I started learning this stuff very early, young age, to where it ended up helping. My mom used to always get mad at me for talking to strangers. You encourage, swiper, no swiping. Don't talk to nobody. Don't you talk to nobody you don't know. And she used to slap me in the back of my head all the time for talking to somebody I don't know. But now she thank God for me talking to people I don't know, because it got me into places that's now taking care of all of us.
Mm-hmm.
You follow what I'm saying? That's important about relationship building. You had a network and then put those plans down in place. And that's why I said I'm going to put this in the book and make it short and impactful where it inspire people to be better.
Guys, I want you to pick up this book. I want you to pick up a copy of Troy's book. And is that book available?
It's on. I'm gonna go to TroyMSmith.com. I'll put it in the comments right now. TroyMSmith.com. And you'll be able to get you one.
The Mindset of Successful Thinking. And listen, I hope that you picked up on some of these other nuggets. I want to jump into something a little controversial in a minute. But listeners, viewers, Troy dropped some nuggets here. Do you see how he aggressively worked to change his story? He became so self-aware, taking personality tests. Have any of you ever taken a personality test? Off the top of my head, I can think of a place where you can go right now and take a free personality test, and it gives you this whole blueprint of how you tend to show up with that personality. It's 16personalities.com. It's free. Go ahead, check it out myself. You know who you are. Find out about yourself. And then so not only was he self-aware, right? You're self-aware, Troy, but you also were able to observe your environment. You could notice that people smiled when you came in the room. God, what about that, y'all? If people aren't connecting with you, if they're not smiling when you come in the room, try smiling. Like, what's your face like? Be self-aware. What are you doing with your face? How's your energy? Are you, tight and guarded and things like that? These are the types of things that you want to investigate for yourself And you don't want stuff like that to block you from relationships or block you from opportunities, because it does have an impact. It does.
You know the first book I read ever?
Um,
I'm gonna tell you. You ain't gonna know what it is. I'm gonna
Cat
tell
in the
you.
Hat.
Ha!
Yep.
No, Green Eggs and Ham. Sam,
Okay, okay.
but no. My first book I ever read from cover to back, like literally in between and all, was after I graduated college.
Really?
Now I read books, textbooks to get through school, but it's
Mhm.
after I graduated college because I didn't know what I was going to do after college. I've been a student my whole life,
Right.
so I was going to school forever. And the next thing I'm knowing, well, what am I going to do now? I guess I go to work. I said, but no, it's more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a book called Anointed for Business by Ed Savoso. The first book I ever read in my entire life, and I started educating myself in regards to I'm anointed to be in the business world.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a part of education. I started realizing there are people out there that think like I do.
Right, right.
So at first, I wouldn't read a book at first. I wouldn't read no book. I don't need no motivational book. I don't need no positive influence until I read one and say, okay, I need to keep reading.
Right.
Then I read Think Grow Rich. Then I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I read all these other books you may have known of. That's why I said I'm going to make sure my book is one of those books that you put in your pocket, put in your purse, and actually be able to pick it up anytime you want to. Then make sure it's going to be one of those books that you got to read. Because after you read it, I've been told you can't put it down. Nothing better than someone call you and say, thank you for changing my life, and make it worth writing it. So.
Right. You know what? That is exactly what inspired me to write my own book, Stolen Angels. That exact same thing. I was at a point in my life where I felt so broken and alone, and I did not want anyone else to feel that same way. And so I wrote a book that they would be able to carry with them if they ever felt the way that I did. And they'd be able to carry that and refer to that and reflect on the stories and find some hope in those moments, because I mean that's critical. And I felt that what I was facing was life or death. And I know that type of situation, I mean, guys, it was severe tragedy. That's not what this interview
No,
is.
we about to go there, so you can stop right. We're going to go there, so we flipping that. I want to hear. Did you lose a child?
Yes, I lost 3 children in a row.
Right. Were they miscarriages?
Well, they were born early.
Uh-huh.
So they weren't miscarriages. And that was always something that I felt sensitive about, because a miscarriage is before 16 weeks, not trying to lessen what a mother or parent, goes through when they lose a baby early in pregnancy. It is different when you hold that baby and they die in your arms.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I had 3 babies who passed away. They were not triplets. And, it happened. We did not have living children. And so my husband was deployed to Iraq when our 3rd baby died. We were new to the area. I did not know anybody. So when I went in for that doctor's appointment and they told me the baby didn't have a heartbeat, first of all, I didn't even know that was even a possibility, let alone to go through that by myself. I was so alone, I did not know who could drive me home from the hospital after giving birth. That's how few people I knew here. And so I went through that, and it, like I said, was life or death. I knew I had to do something to help other people. So guys, I want to tell you, your story truly, truly does matter. And as you listen to Troy, as you listen to me, you can see how, these different things that we've gone through affects how we want to affect other people, right? So mine was through loss. Yours was a different, you wanted to make sure that people were empowered, and that your book would stand among the pillars, you know what I mean? That they could carry that and really get growth and insight and get their mind changed. And so viewers, you have that same thing in you. You have a story in you. You have to tell. You have to tell. You got to put all this baggage to the side so that you can jump in and be like really us and millions of other people who have taken this journey. Write your book. Stop making excuses. But what if you're a person who has a controversial book? What then? Let me tell you, your stories will keep you from going in. And by controversial, I mean, like if you've been through some sort of sexual abuse, right? You have some personal story that you want to share and you're terrified of what your family and friends are going to think of you. Or maybe, just maybe, you are talking about something that you know a lot of people could seriously hate you for.
Hmm.
So I want to turn this back to Mr. Troy here.
Mhm.
You have a controversial book that is in the making. What's the name of this book? I can't even speak the title.
Well, the thing is,
My
I
throat
think it's a,
is up.
I think it's more of I think it's more of a controversial. It's a controversial title more than it would be in a book.
Right, title.
The title is called "Thank God for Trump." Donald J. Trump. Yeah, it's called "Thank God for Donald J. Trump." Now, by any means, I'm gonna make this very clear. I am not a supporter of Donald J. Trump. Donald J. Trump. I can't even get him out. I'm not a supporter of his at all. But there are some things that allow me that he has done that allow me to start thinking that, you know what, I can acknowledge that to where I need to do something better.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first released that book, The Mindset of Successful Thinking, the next book that came to my mind was I need to write another one. It was, you know, I came out with that book in 18. Trump was in office. I remember where I was November the 16th. I mean, November the 3rd, 2016. I don't know where you were, but I was in front of the TV on my couch at 11 o'clock at night, wanting to see who in the world is going to win the presidential election.
Mm-hmm.
And when I seen Trump win, I may have felt, that was probably the only time I may have felt very fearful.
Right.
Not knowing, you know, fearful, like the fear gripped me like, okay, now what?
Right.
Or we better have some riots, or we better do this, better go, what's going on, man? This is crazy. How in the world did he win? Like Cat Williams said, you know, CNN had the wrong. I mean, it was like Donald Trump can't win. He got to win here, and here. Okay, so they scratched it. Okay, he can't win unless he wins here. Guess what? This guy actually won, and I got nervous. I probably felt like those older white people that when Obama won, they had fear may have gripped them. Like, what's going to happen?
Right.
My wife we just had our son Duke. My wife was pregnant with our daughter Kaya, and my son was asleep. And I started thinking about my black son. Started thinking about me. I work in the corporate America, so I'm thinking like, what's going to happen when I go to work? Blackish did a great job of showing that. Blackish the show,
right?
But I said, man, this is crazy. But at that same moment, Sharee, at that next very moment, a still voice, my conscience said, "But what you gonna do? If he can do it, if an orange guy or a white guy, however you look at him, if he can do it and have all these people follow him and say, I can walk out in the middle of Times Square, shoot somebody and won't lose a vote, what you gonna do?" And at that very moment, I said, I'm gonna finish my book up. That's when I finished that book, The Mindset of Successful Thinking. I'm gonna start my speaking career up. I just started going and putting plans in place.
Wow.
I was gonna run for politics, for a political office that next day. I called my political science professor who told me anytime when I was in college, I ran for SGA president. And he said, Troy, if you ever want to run for any political office, let me know. I'm going to be your campaign manager. Now, this guy was over the election commission in Davidson County at one time. So he's seen something there. I called him and said, hey, Dr. McDonald, I'm going to run for some type of, I don't care what seat it is, I'm running for something. And he said, Troy, okay, let's break it down a little bit. Now, normally you think he'd go ahead and say, let's do it. But we start breaking it down, he said, you're inspired, you're ready to go because you're upset what happened or whatever with Trump. But do you see how Trump won? I said, you know why he can say whatever he want to say? No, because he used his own money.
Hey, now that's some insight right there.
He said, he said, right now what you need to concentrate on is making the money. You make your money where you don't owe anybody anything.
Right.
And you can say and do whatever you need to do. I learned that because this dude won. He got me uncomfortable. My boy Trev said one time, he said, so you say that you were uncomfortable, what made you want to go? And that's exactly what it is. I felt so uncomfortable that made me do something. Compared to when Obama won. Don't get me wrong. I looked at one day hoping meeting Obama. I appreciate him and he inspired me. You know what I'm saying? When he won.
Right.
It gave me hope. But what happened is I started getting comfortable again. I started getting comfortable again. I'm like, okay, well, cool, man. One day, that's cool. That's great. But I was so uncomfortable when Trump won. it made me do something.
Right.
And that's why I say thank God for Trump. Because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been uncomfortable to go. I've always been a go-getter, but I turned it up to a 12 compared to a 10.
Mm. So, Troy, it looks like you've been doing this your whole life, which is taking a situation, whether it's an environment, a relationship, where you grew up, I mean, whatever it is, you can take an unfortunate situation or a less than the best situation, and you're able to turn that around and use it as a tool that accelerates you. And so I think that that's a gift that you have. I mean, you literally turn these things, bad situations, on their head.
But when you're in sales, or when you're from the particular background, when you have the particular background, you have to do something, or you just gonna be in the same rat race with everybody else.
Right, right.
I can't do that. I got too many things, too many good gifting on me to sit there. You know what? And I learned after I take those, like when I take the DISC assessment, and I've been taking so many assessments to learn more, just to see if they all say the same thing, and they do. To see if they all say the same stuff. Yeah, I want to. Like, I can't wait to. You might want to put that in the comments so I can go back and actually that thing you were talking about. Cause I'm looking forward to doing that already. Cause I want to see if it's says the same thing. But it was me taking those tests and actually those assessments, those tools, and start saying, "Oh, that's why I act like that. Oh, that's why I act like not because my mom and my daddy is. The fact is because no, that's my personality, and I've been educating myself on that. So yeah, you're right. I've been doing it my whole life, But when you're a salesperson, you learn every opportunity. Every time you interact with someone, it's an opportunity to learn something new.
It is. It really is. And you said something on one of your recent podcasts that every relationship or interaction that you have with somebody, it does not have to be some sort of exchange where money's involved or you're somehow getting something tangible.
A transaction.
Transaction. That's the word that you use. And I agree with that. And you mentioned mentoring, which I think is another type of relationship.
I also mentioned coaching. Don't forget that. I mentioned, because I really believe me.
Because you said coaching is a transactional type, right? But being a mentor, that's something that you do for free. You're giving of your time, your experiences, your skills, and you're not expecting anything in return. You're just pulling somebody up.
It's an investment. I mean, that's why time is important. So when you now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people out there that's leeches. Not people that just want to just drink off of what you got, ride coattails, whatever it is. But I always tell someone when I go speak, what is that one thing you would do for free? And you have fun doing it. Because oftentimes when you start asking people what success means, it always ends up being something that's for free. Listen, what does success mean to you? Matter of fact, Sharee, what does success mean to you?
Wow. Success to me, that I wasn't ready for that, Troy.
I know that.
I wasn't ready. But you know what? Okay.
No. Because there you go, Sharee. No. Before we go, what does success mean to you?
Success means to me, okay.
There's no wrong answer.
For a second. We ain't just gonna fly off with something that sounds good. What does it really mean to me? Viewers, I want y'all to sit and think about this too, okay? What does it really, really mean to me? And before I give my answer, I'm going to say I recently had a coaching session. I was the person being coached. And so my coach, she asked me, she says, okay, Sharee, what are your goals? What are the things that you want to achieve? And then she asked me, okay, you're saying that you want that, but how are you showing up? Why have you not achieved those things? Do you really want it? What are you really willing to sacrifice in order to have those things? So I think sometimes we look at things, we set these money goals, we have these career aspirations, when the truth of the matter is we're really, really searching out something inward that we're trying to fill. We're trying to fill a void there. So I think that's where success lies for me. And I think for me, at the root, meaningful relationships, having a life full of passion, adventure, and fun. If I can have those three things, then I'm successful. And I pray that those three things lead to a whole bunch of money for me as well. because I like the freedom of being able to do what I want to do when I want to do it, and to be able to reach down and help many people along the way. And I think money is an important part of that.
Yeah, the money is, if you can't, that's a tool. If
Yes,
someone
but
needs, you
it's
can't help
not
nobody.
just about the money, but I didn't always know that.
Right. Well, that's what I always ask people what success means to them. A lot of times they come up to where it's not money related. They like to crochet. They like to play board game with their family whenever they want, how they want.
Mm-hmm.
They like to do certain things that doesn't cost any. They like to feed the hungry and go out and do this and that. That's not money related. But what if you're able to do something so well, and then you look back and say, man, you paid me to do this? You actually paid me to go out and feed someone? What if you started, people start their own nonprofit up and their own foundation where they're actually going out and actually doing that. People paying money, value, and they give yourself a salary. You have to spend no money.
Right. True. Hey, I do want to say that those things that I want, they are linked clearly to specific relationships, especially as a parent. Like seeing my kids just feel like they have had a childhood where they felt supported and loved, and to see them actually have character, that's everything. That really is. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely. Oh, I'm with you 110.
Now, as far as their specific success, like, if they do well in life, if they make a lot of money, I'm not bothered by that. You know what I mean? But are you a good person? Are you making an impact in the lives of others, a positive impact?
That's right. Both of those are relative to the person too.
Right. So that's important to me. So, Troy, is there anything? I know it's getting up here.
I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that.
Okay.
My wife, this is what I enjoy doing.
Right.
And like I told my wife, I said, she looked at me like, you going upstairs? And I said, hey, you hoping this end up turning into some money for you. Oh, you get paid tonight? But the thing is, I said, no, you hope so. But the thing is that it's all about building relationships.
Right.
Someone may see this
and
it actually turned into something else for someone. They said, man, whoever that guy was or whoever Sharee was, I want to make sure I get with them, and I want to give them a contract to come and do a virtual course for this. This coaching. Have you ever heard of Michael Burt?
No.
What is this guy, Michael Burt, that I know? He's a coach too, and he came to speak at one of my events, and he told a story about how when he went to an engagement and spoke, and it was only two or three people in the room.
Right.
He getting motivated. Yeah, man, this is, people tell him, hey, man, if you don't want to do it, don't worry about it. We can reschedule this and do something else. Nobody's in the. He said, no, I'm going to speak to these three people like it's a room of 100.
Right.
He spoke to those three people, and one of the people in the room happened to be like a large executive, big time executive for Remax or one of these real estate companies. He got $100,000 contract where they flying him to speak at different places and offices because of that one meeting. You never know who you're going to end up meeting. That's why you got to continuously show up.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
But this is stuff I do for free, Sharee. I like encouraging and inspiring people to be better. And then what happened when I get paid for it? I've gotten paid for over times. And like, man, I got paid $400 for 15 minutes of doing what I like to do anyway. I take it.
I know that feels so good.
Yeah.
It feels so good. So how do you guide people to tap into that thing that they're passionate about? Because I guarantee you there's people still disqualifying that thing that they're willing to do for free.
Yeah, the first step is get that book, The Mindset of Successful Thinking.
Yes,
something that slide in your pocket and put in your purse, and you just read those. It's only 112 pages. You actually can buy the download and listen to it on audio too, if you want to do it that way. But the fact is, that's the first step, because you start realizing some things about yourself that are like, wow, I didn't think of that. I didn't look at it that way. I felt like you were talking right to me.
Guys, you're going to get a lot of that. You're going to have a lot of those moments as you read this book. And I recommend that you buy it and read it.
I encourage you. Read the book. You know what they say, how you can hide anything from somebody?
Just hide it in a
Well,
book.
they say if you want to hide anything from black people, hide it in a book. I took it a step further. So if you want to hide it from someone that's ignorant, put it in the book. No matter what race they are, put it in the book.
Right.
Because they ain't gonna look at it.
Mm.
And there's so many secrets in books and things like that. Whether you read it on Kindle or if you're reading in a real form, natural form, you start finding out there's other people that think the same way you do. You start building a community and understanding to say, man, this is important and I am important. I am valuable. And this guy and this girl thinks the same way. I think I'm going to reach out to them. You start building relationships. Next thing you know, you taking things to another level.
Right. And you know what, Troy? I was just telling my son this, who is 9 years old. I was telling him this the other day. And I was explaining to him how a lot of good information was hidden from people by putting it in a book and teaching them not to read. I mean, not teaching them not to, forbidding them from reading, right? Mm-hmm. That really changed something in his little mind. It truly did. He has been more diligent just in these 2 days since I said that to him. He didn't want to be like that. He didn't want, and I can be a little dramatic too. So, I laid out the story and I'm like, and then our people, they would be beaten.
Yeah, literally.
Until they were bloody. He's like, not our people. I'm like, people, son. He's like, okay. Got his book. He's like, all right. Okay. But you know what? Another thing, I like to read old books. So you were talking about the Think and Grow Rich. Mm-hmm. Well, I discovered a little book by a woman. Her name is Florence Scovel Shinn. And I'm going to look up the name of her book really quick. Add it to your library. It's so good if you don't have it. This is a book that I literally would sleep with in my bed because I wanted to wake up and read it. It was like next to the Bible. I'm serious. It was so good.
Oh, yeah.
So good. Let me get the title for you.
I've had someone tell me that's nothing. When I had my down days, thinking what am I doing this for? I have my moments I self-doubt too. What am I doing this for? And then someone text you or email you and say, hey man, I need to get 10 books. My wife read the book and then I said, well, put your wife on the phone. Wife got on the phone and said, oh my God, this is like the Bible to me. I got carried everywhere I go. I pull out when I'm going through some stress. That right there sparked me up to say, now I got to write another book.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's encouraging, man.
Yep. So it's called The Complete Works of Florence Scovel Shinn, Shinn, The Game of Life, and man, it's cut off. The Game of Life and How to Play. It's like a collection of 3 books, and you can get it on Amazon. In addition to your book, because I do believe, guys, if you just want your brain to be made into a hard sponge, it's still hard to kind of get things to soak into that. You need Troy's book in order to soften that sponge. Okay. So soften the sponge by reading his book. And then you're able to graduate on to other types of reading material that will enhance what you already learned with Troy. I'm telling you, Troy's book is good. I do not hand out endorsements and things like that very lightly. I'm telling you the truth. It's a good book. You will relate to much in the book.
Appreciate you, Sharee. I'll send you that check later.
Yes.
Send me that cash app. I'll send you a cash app through there.
Right. But no, I'm being sincere.
I know you are. I know.
It's great.
I know.
I was just telling a friend today, there's a lot of things that I can find nice to say about a person, but I never have to make something up. You know what I mean? I never have to pick something just to gas somebody's head. Mm-hmm. It's, there's always something real and sincere that you can say about a person. Mm. So that's you, Troy. You really do have a wonderful, wonderful gift. You pull greatness out of people, and I appreciate that about you. And I think that you're walking in your ministry. You truly are. I hope that the people who are listening, whether it's tonight or at another time, that you go on ahead, don't take these nuggets that he shared lightly. Don't take them lightly at all. Apply them to your life. Do the hard work, do the self-work in order to become self-aware, more observant. Tap into these 4 pillars. If you didn't remember what the pillars are, go back, listen to the replay, get the book, find out how to really change your life.
I'm gonna tell you what the 4 pillars are.
Tomorrow's not promised.
Just in case you didn't hear it, I'm gonna tell you right now: the importance of education, the importance of appearance, the importance of relationships, and the importance of strategic planning. Those are all important.
They are critical.
If you feel good, smell good, look good, you're gonna do good. If you actually feel educated, feel inspired, and know more about yourself, you're now more aware. Right? If you're if you're looking good, more aware about yourself, and you get to meet new people, they start to know more about you. They start talking about you for you to somebody else in a positive light. Now you build relationships. Then now those things you may have written down, I always encourage people to write stuff down, put it in stone. But those things you actually wanted to be and become start actually coming to fruition. Now you actually start moving in strategic planning. So that's why I support those 4 pillars, the way to get to be successful.
Thank you, Troy. Honestly, I think that's a good last word, Troy.
Cool. All right. It's your show.
That's a good last word. Guys, take it, write it down, apply it, and run with it. Thank you guys so much for tuning into Sharee TV and the Naughty Lounge.
That's right. Let me say what y'all mean. What does that mean? That means not overthinking it. That's the reason why I started this podcast, Naughty Lounge, because people always overthink their ideas. Just go.
Absolutely. I endorse that message.
There it is.
Good night.